So guys, when was the last time you used calculus? Unless you are an engineer or a scientist, I will be willing to bet it was that awful class in 12th grade. Imagine if your parents could have opted you out of that. What if they could have just signed a sheet of paper and excused you from the unit of math? Well, as terrible as calculus is, it is still important. Maybe you don't use it every day, but it's useful at times. And sex education is the same way. Even if you don't plan to be sexually active, that doesn't mean that you should learn about sex, anatomy, and the other topics that make up sex education. Sex education is just as important as calculus. So why can we opt that out one but not the other? Knowledge is for everyone, and sex education should limit certain people because of their parents' views. Access to comprehensive, medically accurate education is human right. People will definitely consider taboo when talking about sex. He assumed that sex education will encourage teenagers to have sex. Some people still view stereotypes with sex education as a vulgar thing. In Indonesia, sex is considered taboo due to the lack of knowledge of Indonesian society. Parents tend to avoid having their children ask questions about sex and immediately scare them with the sins, hell, adultery, or pornography because they themselves lack knowledge. Sex education cannot be equated with moral or religious education in which sex is considered taboo and haram. Often people think that sex is not the culture of the Indonesian nation which adheres to Eastern customs. So it is only natural that it is considering something taboo. In fact, this statement is not quite right because many Indonesian culture include the theme of sex. It's just that it's packaged within the framework of myth and stories. But should we know that it turns out that not all parties agree with sex education? There are pro and contra about sex and education, especially for Indonesia. And what about you guys? Do you agree with that statement that I said before, or you agree with it? Let me know about your opinion with this term. What about we start from the pro one, Lydia or Sila, or the contra first, Vita or Farid? Let me know one would to be the first to say their own opinion about sex education. So who want to be the first?
Okay, in my opinion, is agree statement. Whereas there are sexual deviations that often occur in adults today because they are not given sex education. In terms of health, social, moral, in the context of religion, and so on. So they don't know how to control stem cell phase, so they don't fall to these sexual behaviors.
Thanks for Sila opinion. And I know not all of you agree with that opinion from Sila, and whoever will not disagree with that statement, let's hear your voice here.
Okay,
Farid?
I'm not disagree.
Okay, Farid, let's go.
Hmm, whereas
Okay, thank you for Sila for your opinion. And I know not all of you guys agree with that opinion. And I would like to ask whoever who disagree with that opinion from Sila can speak up for their disagreement. And go ahead.
I'm not disagree because my opinion is that the problem of sex is a basic human need, like eating and drinking. With the following basic needs, human will try to get them according to their need. Even so, white sex, human will find out when they need it according to their needs.
Saya duluan, woi. Sabar lu. Saya duluan. Ya. Deh, kau sialan phone kau baru. Thanks from Farid. And from your expression here that I see on my laptop, Lydia, I think you disagree with Farid's statement. Can you speak up? I want to hear your opinion about this sex education.
Okay, I'm not agree with Farid. I think that every human being has a very strong potency and addiction to sex, which if not properly educated, may be exploited for sexual potential and biological drive for negative things and can harm him, such as having sex outside of marriage, rape, and so on. Thank you.
Thanks again from Lydia. And let's move on to Kavita. What about your opinion about this sex education for teenagers?
In my opinion, before that, we know that sex education is the instruction of issues relating to human sexuality, including emotional, relation, and responsibilities, and human sexual anatomy, sexual activity, sexual reproduction, or age of consent, that sex education that covers all of these aspects is known as comprehensive sex education. Common and avenues for sex. Our parents are caregivers. So my opinion about that I disagree with that statement because if education sex given to adolescents, their mentality will not able to even like their biologies. And when sex education, adolescents are characterized by curiosity and want to experience, want to feel, and so on. And their adolescents want to feel how to like what like do it safe, because adolescent like have high, what we call that, like feeling to about sex. So that's all from me. Thank you.
I'm not agree with Kavita, and I think sex education should be given to children since they are very young. Give knowledge of sex to your children according to age and ability of children in allow your knowledge, so that there is no misunderstanding in the child in the future, and the child will not be curious and end up trying the unwanted thing. I think so.
Langsung Farid, langsung sa.
Langsung, Pak.
Lanjut lah. Langsung sa Farid.
Lah, Lydia. Whereas if sex education is given to adolescents, it will actually encourage them to do so. It is like the lesson they have learned, which really need to be put into practice. Provision has been made for primary high school teachers to work on building of the self-esteem and self-acceptance of children. Studies show that people who have problems with self-esteem bring this difficult into their couple relationship. It is surprising that opponents of SEM to ignore the relationship education dimension of and focus on the problem they perceive sex education cases. It is worrying when parents are told that school-based programs into other countries have led to an enormous increase in premarital sex, teen promiscuity, and teenage pregnancy. Figures from the Central Statistic Office have confirmed that the same trends are happening among Irish teenagers before the introduction of mandatory programmers. Thank you.
I'm not agree with Farid because if the child learns sex education, the child will be affected and be vulnerable to having sex. Not only that, and there is a household relationship and that is not harmonious, often quarrels, and so on, because there is no sex education related to those, those domestic life. Okay, thank you.
So I'm not agree with Stila opinion. We know that sex is cooking in Indonesia, thing that is rarely talked about among the public. If we talk about sex, then people will not want to respond about that. So there's no way sex is talked about to teenagers because they have a strong will about it and because it has a huge impact on adolescents who will grow into adulthood. So yeah, that's it.
Tolonglah, make Lydia make-nya.
Alah dia weh.
I'm not agree with Kavita opinions. I think sex education will also not backfire for recipients, such as using knowledge about safe sex to have sex engaged in promiscuity. According to Mariana, the logic of thinking in society should be reserved that by having knowledge about sex, we know the risk that occur and we are unlikely to have sex outside of marriage or run to pornography, I think. Thank you.
Thanks for all the opinion that you have tell us, and I want to take the summary from your all your opinion, and all from your opinion is very good. but this all that I can conclude for your opinion. Sex education is important. It's been proven time and time again. We know students who receive formal sex education in school are shown to first have sexual intercourse later than students who have not had sex education. Sex education does not encourage teenagers to have sex. It does quite the opposite. And every teenager should have sex education incorporated into their schooling. It should not be opt-in or opt-out, but mandatory. Why should parents be able to opt their children in or out of a subject that they'll need later in life, one way or another? Sex education should be mandatory, comprehensive, medically accurate, and taught throughout student school years, just like math. It's been shown to help students, not hurt. Not only is having access to sex education that is not only too comprehensive, but medically accurate a human right. It is our fundamental duty as a society to educate the next generation. And that's all that I can conclude for all your opinion about sex education. And I will end this conversation and see you in the next debate.